Suntem deja în online și ca atare vă rog să...
best example is the Congo, where you've got most of the cobalt coming worldwide. Not to mention what would happen with mankind if the conflict were to come to life between China and Taiwan. Entire mankind would become of our forum. And from you, with your experience, we translate this into the universal language accessible to all. Progress is being made. It's very important that we, in such fora, for 2 decades now, we speak of the fact that mankind has to place first, has to take as first priority, as first chain in the first link in the profit chain has to be placed for energy. Energy has to be on the political agenda of any government, of any state community, of the entire mankind. Unfortunately, only suffrage has really made decision makers at regional or global level to place energy first. We've been shouting this out and heralding it for 2 decades, that there are 3 great challenges. We live in a system, and do recall, we live in a system of an infinite complexity, in a very, very, very sensitive balance, a balance that is impacted daily, absolutely daily. What changed? The seriousness of the challenges, just that the priority is different. 2 years ago we spoke of climate change, now we speak of security coming first. But still, security, climate change and social inequality are still the most important 3 challenges of mankind in the past 5 decades. Even more acute in the past decade and this year. From you and from this type of debate, we hear and we wait for solutions. Allow me now to take this opportunity to thank you. I would like to thank Minister Dantas-Spahn. I would like to thank State Secretary Dragan. I would like to thank the Chair Kirița, Chair Kirițoiu, the managers and CEOs of boards of directors and managers of the largest companies in the energy sector here today in this type of an event and debate. I am convinced that many are waiting for us to decipher the risks, the challenges, the solutions, and for all of us, for you to find them. Allow me, therefore, once again, to thank you on behalf of our state, on behalf of the World Energy Council, the Romanian Committee, to thank you on behalf of the entire energy community, which through you is represented at the highest level. And allow me to wish all the best to the debates in these days. At the end, I'm certain that we can draw conclusions that can guide us to solutions for this crisis, for this type of blockage, of conflict that today, as we speak,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Professor Dr. Iulian Iancu, President of the Romanian Member Committee of the World Energy Council, for the warm welcome and for the honour of helping to set the scene for today's important dialogue and for hosting and organising this event. I'd also like to thank His Excellency Mr. Virgil Popescu, Minister of Energy and Chair of the World Energy Council Romania, for his patronage. It's time to talk about energy, and in a new way. And before I present our global perspective, I would like to pay tribute to our Romanian members, partners and future energy leaders. FOREN has grown from strength to strength in recent years due to the growing interest and overwhelming support of Romanian partners, patrons and regional stakeholders. FOREN has become known as a premier European gathering thanks to your hard work. FOREN has adopted another super theme this year. Energy transitions need regional cooperation. Yes, they do, and more so than ever. I wish I could be with you in person by the Black Sea, and I'm just back from the Dead Sea in Jordan, where a regional energy hub partnership has been formed by Germany, Saudi Arabia, Jordan and others. Their shared ambition is to supply and trade green hydrogen across the MENA EU neighbourhood, and it's clear that all parties are committed to making this happen soon and at scale. Now, a lot has changed since we last met 2 years ago, so let me start by stating 3 things that have remained the same. First, energy is still front page news across the world. Second, humanising energy is still the best way to enable societies to thrive and flourish through a global energy transition. We can and must decarbonise without destabilising societies. Third, the energy trilemma is back, and whilst we at the World Energy Council community would argue it never went away, we recognise and are working hard to develop a more usable and flexible framework which can be used to guide and track progress on energy transitions at regional, national and city level. Let me better explain this as I set the scene for today's important dialogue by looking at what's changed in the last 2 years. First slide, please. 3 once-in-a-lifetime crises, COVID-19, climate change and conflict in Europe, have triggered the world's first demand-driven energy shock. The urgency to accelerate decarbonisation now involves a rethinking of energy security and affordability. Last November, everybody wanted to be a net zero hero. Now we are all grappling with this new context. The new energy security situation is vastly different to the 1970s oil embargo and supply crisis. This is a consumer-driven crisis, and the demand-driven adjustments that are going to come out of it are going to be very significant. A year ago, our World Energy Pulse on the COVID-19 crisis highlighted that recovery actions had extended to including the resilience of people and supply chains. Our most recent World Energy Pulse is the first global survey of energy leaders' attitudes and trends since the outbreak of the conflict in Ukraine. It shows that perspectives on energy security, affordability and decarbonisation have dramatically shifted since the start of the year, and tensions between these elements are growing. It's not just energy customers who are experiencing the pain of higher energy bills. The implications for access to clean and affordable energy is driving a new energy justice agenda in all world regions. 85% of responses to this survey indicate that governments must do more to intervene and find better ways to address affordability or risk destabilising their societies. Now, governments need help to better manage energy prices, system costs and affordability. And I hope today and in the coming days you will engage in courageous and honest conversations about how to reconnect the price of supply with value in use. Affordability at the national level is now about soft landings and avoiding recessionary tendencies. At the individual level or the household level, affordability reflects willingness and ability to pay for reliable supply and flexible storage. And we all share the responsibility to ensure that energy transition does not cost the earth and that future generations are not left picking up the bill or being overloaded with debt. Global energy transition was never going to be quick, cheap, or as easy as some have promised. In closing the implementation gaps between global ambition and action, what we have learned as the world energy community in the last 100 years is more important than ever. Lesson 1 is that energy is a system. Behind every button, switch, and fuel pump is a myriad of connections and interactions. Energy transition is a process, not a destination, and it can't be delivered all at once. Energy system diversity is increasing in the broadest sense. There are no one-size-fits-all solutions. The future of energy is imagined and co-created. Lesson 5, energy technology transition goes hand in hand with societal disruption and transformation. As the relationships between energy and society change, so do our relationships with each other. And lastly, energy systems and energy transition management cannot be reduced to a single metric or number. So let's talk about the energy trilemma framework. As we all know, what gets measured gets managed. Our World Energy Trilemma Index is now in its 15th year, and it uses an integrated and objective framework to track and benchmark national energy transition performance in terms of 3 elements: energy security, affordability and equity, and environmental sustainability and decarbonisation. It's only by addressing all 3 dimensions that societies are able to thrive and flourish through well-managed energy transitions. The existing framework enables us to produce a global ranking, to track national policy performance year on year, and to provide new insights about the fastest improvers and least improved. For example, Romania has an overall rank of 21 out of 120 countries in the global index. It achieves a bronze medal, 3rd place, as an energy security top performer in 2021. And tracking Romania's performance over 20 years, it is neither the most or least improved country on any dimension, so there's room for improvement. Which energy trilemma solutions are the best way for Romania and this region to address energy needs, climate activism, and sustainable development in parallel? And our partnership with BBC Storyworks is a great way to share your stories of success with 50 million people worldwide. Now, managing the connected challenges of energy transition at all levels of society is always important and has never been more challenging. Humanising energy, our agenda, is about mobilising people and communities in understanding their role and mobilising people-centric energy trilemma solutions which progress clean and just energy transitions in all contexts and regions. Our ambition is to develop a flexible trilemma framework that is user-friendly and encourages me, you, and we to get involved and increase the net positive impact. We want to equip everyone with Trilemma superpowers so that they can be a net zero hero. And that's my new hashtag, Energy Trilemma Titan. What's yours? Let me share a little secret. Our Energy Trilemma framework is more than a useful triangle. The existing framework includes a score for national context and quality of governance. Please use your Trilemma superpowers to help us promote the Energy Trilemma pyramid and humanising energy solutions at the coming COP27 in Egypt this year. Now, responding to these multiple energy crises and global energy shock will reset the energy leadership agenda. The increasing emphasis by governments on empowering people and closing implementation gaps is already central to our humanising energy agenda and building energy trilemma solutions and superpowers. As we work to secure the next 100 years in useful energy, our centenary conversations, celebrations, and humanising energy campaign will strengthen our community network to achieve transformational outcomes. We aim to move the dial on global energy transitions and transformations We believe it's not enough to measure reductions in carbon. We need to build human capabilities. We can enable societal transformation to pull technology transition forward if we develop our Trilemma superpowers and solutions at all levels of society. We aim to help 1 billion people become energy Trilemma superheroes by 2030. We are piloting and scaling community and city-led energy transition sprints, and we're helping to diversify the workforce and develop the new skills required for performing and transforming in a new energy context. These are remarkable and challenging times for us all, and I am truly honoured by the privilege of leading the World Energy Council at this significant moment in energy. We will continue to listen, learn and lead in mobilising more people and diverse communities to be energy trilemma titans and net zero heroes. Join us in extending and using these superpowers to all parts of society in all world regions. Let me close by encouraging you all to talk about energy trilemma solutions as you explore regional cooperation. Let's combine our humanising energy superpowers to secure useful energy for 10 billion lives on a healthy and peaceful planet. Thank you.
Angela, you are the demonstration for what is so important that a lady has to be in a such important role like Secretary General of World Energy Council. Yes, indeed, remarkable and challenging times. Please let me once again, on behalf of the audience, to kindly thank you and to wish a wonderful afternoon for you. Dragi invitați,
dear guests, we have seen in the presentation of Angela Merkel that we are crossing, we are leaving the lowest point ever since 2015, the Paris engagement, so far. It is no wonder, and it is not by haphazard. The problem is that over the time, some of the myths have been debusted, just as the myth of excluding the nuclear from the energy mix and from technology, and the case of carbon today, which is now in extraordinary conditions drawn back in the energy mix for a while. All these are challenges coming from security towards environment. We are forced in an unprecedented constraint. It's only with special people and with a special approach we can look for solutions and cross these difficult times. In the ministry, we have a very good minister up to the task, and I am fully responsible when I'm saying it. Mr. Francis Barno is on the front line in all events, no matter the involvement, degree of risk, difficulty, and he seems not to be tired. He crossed Romania from one event to another, and today on Sunday he is with the energy community. On your behalf we thank him, and I consider that he is a real friend and symbol to energy in our country. You have the floor, Minister. Friends for green energy. Thank you very much. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we have, well, I have come from hundreds of kilometers away, but I crossed gorgeous places. Yesterday I visited the mountains of Machin, the National Reserve, and we have to be aware that our daily activities and the comfort we have been accustomed to has an impact on environment and impact on our neighboring environment, but not only our daily activity, our comfort resource consumption has a deep impact on environment and produces climate change. The talk is not recent, but today we are talking more than ever. We are persuaded that the Greens, but not only the Greens, admit this. Climate change is unfolding under our eyes. Climate change has been generated by responsible consumption of resources, our will to have more and more. Such events are good opportunities for dialogue. If I'm looking around, I'm the only one in grey and green, the only one speaking on for the environment. I am in the arena, in the Lions arena. If you're looking at the climate change, at the elements leading to them through CO2 emissions, environment in order to be able to support national policies to Brussels, to the Commission, needs impact studies per sector. We are not champions in this respect. Very few ministries are able to do that, and we need solid arguments when we go there and launch negotiations in the Commission. So I urge you all sectors, energy sector, residential sector, to come and support the sectors with studies, impact studies. And let's see which are the investments needed, what are the achievable targets, and which are the effects. What is the impact of the policies to be approved? Of course, the ministry contributes with the ministry through the programs of the administration for the environment. We contribute to this race, but sectors, transport, residential, energy, in various industries, have to make significant efforts as well. I really hope that such events, such conferences could bring us closer together to become partners in the dialogue and in this fight against climate change, and to stop having conflicts or disputes between the environment and the energy sectors regarding responsibility. Let's take common joint objectives and go together on this difficult road, or else. Thank you very much, and I wish you every success.
Da, mulțumesc încă o dată.
Thank you very much, Minister of Environment. Just as I said earlier, commitments which now are making steps back. Residential transport and carbon in the energy mix are one step, a huge leap backwards, actually, from the perspective of 2020. However, launching the renewable energy production program focusing on solar panels, program for all roofs, all the buildings in the European Union, represents 26% of electricity production in Europe, in equivalent precisely what represents the natural gas production. In order to be able to implement this program, you firstly need to have facility measures and procedures on environment permits and access on the spot when we have the big renewable production facilities, and secondly to attract the citizens, the residential sector, attract people into the program. For a country like Romania, this process is being discussed by the Ministry of Energy, who is the host today, who with its minister has been directly involved through the Minister Popescu. Today, for exceptional reasons, he was supposed to come here joined by his wife in a program, but we have here the most lovable Secretaries of State, Mr. Dragan. I thank him for being him, and please take the floor to address a few words.
Domnule președinte, distinși
Chairman, Distinguished public, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the kind words. It's an honor for me today to be here with you and to be able to convey the message of Minister Popescu and of my colleagues from the Ministry of Energy on the occasion of this forum organized by the World Energy Council and by the National Romanian Committee. This forum is a valuable opportunity to tackle joint topics, to exchange good practices, to revise and explore cooperation topics leading to an improvement of energy systems in the region and increasing the resilience. It's important to increase the dialogue in these times, in such times of uncertainty on the energy market. We need European and regional architecture promoting synergies and avoiding overlapping. The fight against climate change should be joined and conducted in solidarity so that all nations could face challenges by working in a smart way, coordinated and together. Resilient energy systems support transition to a clean energy mentioned by the previous speakers, approaching the negative impact of climate change and promoting at the same time long-lasting development, sustainable by developing and supporting energy security. We have made the effort to incorporate in our plans resilience. On the other hand, we can also mention that Romania is part of the global efforts fighting against climate change. We have undertaken with our European partners to reach neutrality in 2050. The most recent actions taken in this respect have been summarized in the national plan, broken down in 6 major elements, and which is now updated. Thanks to a balanced and various energy mix based on internal energy, Romania is a balancing factor and has one of the top positions in European Union regarding the dependence on imported fuel. We base on a balanced energy mix between hydrocarbon, renewables, natural gas, nuclear, and we are looking with interest and we approach very carefully the future development and gradual replacing of fossil fuel by new sustainable sources. Transition to renewable energy is one of the most important challenges of the moment. In order to reach the undertaken objectives, undertaken in the national plan, extra production capacities will be developed using new capacities as well based on gas, flexible capacities and efficient, ready to use decarbonated gas mixed with hydrogen. The National Plan for Energy and Climate Change, we have undertaken a target of about 7 gigawatts by 2030, commissioned by 2030. Let's not forget that Romania has undertaken, wishes and fights for using gas as a transition element in this change of paradigm. Nuclear sources mentioned earlier will represent a strategic option of Romania. We wish to develop units 3 and 4 in Cernavoda, and at the same time, we are very glad when we see that Nuclear Electrica looks at new energy, the smaller reactors. As a member of the United Nations and of the EU, we have a national sustainable development strategy in order to support the UN Agenda 2030 and to implement the 17 objectives of sustainable objectives. 3 pillars, the economic and social and environment pillars, are important. Regarding now the regional security crisis, we undertake to follow the EU objective to reduce the dependency of imported natural gas from the Russian Federation by using better our internal resources, developing production, and using better use of renewable energies and better efficiency, and consolidating regional and international partnerships. As we know, we have been developed lately in extraction in the extraction area of natural gas, and we are waiting for a new producer on the market. And in 2026-27, we expect for the first volumes to be injected from Neptune derivative. We have many solutions to overcome this global energy crisis and to go to a low carbon print economy. But for that, we need to have financial resources that we may use justly and efficiently. We have 2 ways here. One, represented by the National Plan for Redress and Resilience, and in this respect we have around 1.6 billion euro to develop new production capacities from renewable sources. One call is unfolding. Currently we aim at commissioning 1 gigawatt in 2 years' time. Another call of project, 300 million euro for new cogeneration capacities for urban heating. Another call for hydrogen production. Another one for batteries and solar panels, because we need an integrated chain in the field. And last but not least, developing a smart network fit for using decarbonated gas and hydrogen in 2026. Now, the modernizing fund, we have now for Romania around 15 billion euro, out of which individual projects have been already approved, amounting to 1.5 million euro. Restructuring Oltenia Energy Complex, and I want to thank our colleagues who have made a huge effort for its approval over the past 1.5 years. 1.3 gigawatts per combined cycle and 75 solar panels. Important projects were approved for Transtel Electrica, 475 million euro, and the scheme mechanism developing distribution 1.1 billion euro. In the next period, during the next investment committee in October, we will bring out new mechanisms and fields to be approved in order to develop generating capacities and to increase the resilience of the Romanian energy sector. Thank you once again for having given me this opportunity, and we assure you of our cooperation on behalf of the Ministry of Energy. Thank you.
Well, you've mentioned the key word, storage. None of these capacities in the field of renewable energy will be profitable, at least for some time, to be taken into account without energy storage. Romania could have a very beneficial potential with respect to hydrogen production. We are, however, facing this great blockage, even physical capacity to produce electrolyzers and even to produce batteries and recycling them safely for the environment. In other words, Europe is now in a very delicate position. It wanted to be the world leader, to commit to all climate change, promoting technologies, committing to an investment plan, of which the most important was the recovery and resilience plan of all the countries. And then it had to relaunch a program called Repower Europe to mitigate the shock of the crisis caused by the war. The voice of experts in the European Commission is now very important. Unfortunately, Romania is very well. So fortunately, Romania is very well represented in Brussels. However, we do not know our representatives there. I confess that those that I've met were in various circumstances, in direct dialogue or even more, were a delight to speak to, including ladies, very well prepared.
Invitat, unul dintre...
Today we have one of the best representatives, Mr. Tudor Constantinescu, representing us worldwide. I would like to thank him for being with us in the forum, and we are kindly waiting for his message for us.
Very strong noise. I don't know if you hear it, but I have a very strong noise now.
Dacă ne-am...
Can you hear us, Mr. Constantinescu? You have some connection issues. Your internet connection.
Until now, connection was good, so the test was good, but now a very bad noise, a very strong noise, background noise. I don't know what it is.
Din păcate nu vă auzim bine.
Unfortunately, we can't hear you very well. If you hear me, we can't hear you very well. I do apologize. We don't hear you well at all. We will
I don't hear you well at all either.
Reestablish the connection.
It's possible to try to reconnect.
We have internet connections. There were actually in the beginning. YouTube made some changes, some last-minute changes with respect to our broadcast. Well, allow me now, until we manage to reestablish the connection and to maybe handle our broadcast, speaking from Brussels, allow me to give the floor now to one of the representatives of the authorities in this country that apart from Ministry of Energy, has been and will be mentioned in public debates, because all of these transformations, absolutely all, rely on primary and secondary legislation and regulation. We can't do anything that was mentioned without the two leverages, primary and secondary regulation. Both, however, rely on a huge effort of the two institutes, Ministry of Energy and the Energy Regulatory Agency in Romania. Allow me now to give the floor to Chair Dumitru Chiriță. I'm sure that Andre will start to shed the light that we all need. Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is quite the joy for me to come to this event. Congratulations for how professional and perseverant you are in organizing such manifestations. You are the heart and soul of these events, and thank you again for giving me the possibility to be with you today. I'm happy that for more than 22 years we've been working together. From my first mandate as a deputy and you as a state secretary, we've been working together, and we will continue to work in the regulatory committee starting this month. And your presence in the regulatory authority will be quite welcome, and I'm sure we'll do great things together. My speech today will focus on 6 lines of thought that, in my opinion, are quite the priority, as mentioned by Minister Bana, that I also know for more than 20 years when we worked in the Industry and Services Commission, as Secretary Gagan was mentioned. And with respect to green, I've got some green here. See? Look. Speaking of what you mentioned of green, that you are the only one in green, Mr. Bana, Minister Bana. So I will refer to renewable, because we have solutions in this case as well. There is availability, but however there are short-term and longer-term objectives. I would like to support and mention the increase of prosumers. Over 15,000 prosumers. Currently, the installed power is over 100 megawatts. I believe that by the end of the year there will be over 30,000 prosumers, and I hope that as soon as possible we'll have an installed power of over 1,000 megawatts. And Mr. Bana, in the projects that you are funding with respect to prosumers, do include storage capacities. We need them too, even for a prosumer of 3 kilowatts, because it helps to balance the distribution system. Moreover, I stand by increasing the installed power from renewables up to 10 or 12,000 megawatts. It is an objective necessity, and I think that we can do this. But I recommend to the Ministry of Energy that all projects to be funded from European money, public money, European or national, be funded only if they have a storage capacity. We estimate that for such an installed power, we need over 30,000 megawatts of storage capacity. We have to develop the production of the storage in this respect. There is a permit for a independent storer that has batteries of over 7.5 megawatts, such batteries. There is an objective need for the energy sector for the storage to exist to maintain the balance, and the balancing out costs to be as small as possible. A renewable source that is available to us and very little used is geothermal water. Currently, 2 cities, one partially supplied with geothermal water for hot water, and one partially, one more, or fully supplied, the use, and also maybe in Kirchhut might be such a use. Kalimantan also has the possibility to use this for hot water and heating. The cost to extract and deliver this geothermal water to end consumers is 100 or 150 lei per megawatt hour, which shows clearly that the price is even lower than what Elchan can deliver today. By using geothermal water, we reduce gas consumption, pollution, and we reduce losses, if we think of progress, from the point of delivery of water to the point of use of the water. thus meeting the minister's needs and requirements. Regulating transport and distribution is also a priority, and for us, regulating these two activities is quite a major concern. Let me give some advice to the people in Transelectrica, although new, to follow the example that Transgaz set and to see how they've managed to develop transport networks in an expedited manner, because without transport it will be, or distribution, it will be very, very difficult to speak of developing production capacities, irrespective of their source, renewable or not. Using storage batteries by non-household consumers. Well, this is a solution for them to store or to accumulate energy in the batteries when energy is low price, and to use it from their own source, from storage, when high price. That's why we will regulate soon that suppliers of electricity be forced to be dynamic contracts with hourly fees, so that these aspects are reached to store energy when prices are accessible. To conclude, allow me to thank you for the invitation, to assure you of my full respect, Chair, Liano, and all the other participants that I think I've known all my life, almost. Thank you, and all the best. Very efficient, and thank you, Mr. Chair. You've reached three very important topics: storage, geothermal energy, infrastructure. You also mentioned transporting electricity, referring specifically to the accomplishments of the colleagues in Transgaz. Well, I have to say, the personal opinion, I'm very thrilled that with Transelectrica, finally you have a general director that praises the institution in the role as the backbone for the energy, the national energy system, Mr. Andranake, also in the room. But allow me now to go from geothermal energy to the National Agency for Mineral Resources. Why? Geothermal energy was quite little mentioned, it's true. Fortunately, it has a mature technology and it can be capitalized. Unfortunately, Romania has, well, huge untapped resources, including in Bucharest, and especially the People's Palace. 380 meters below it, there are 80 water reaching 80 degrees. Geothermal resource water that can be used and valued. With the initiator, the one that can promote, manage resources, mineral resources of Romania is, however, the National Agency for Mineral Resources, one of the most important institutions and authorities, in my opinion, that Romania has. Therefore, I give the floor to Chair Gal. Please try to be as succinct as the Chair please, because we actually made the mistake of being a bit late in the room, and we have to catch up. Thank you, Chair, Mr. Minister. Dear colleagues, I remember my first speech in FOREN in 2015, when I was quite brief. I'll try to be just as brief now as I was then. When I speak of the Black Sea perspectives, 6 years have passed. Maybe tomorrow we'll have the first gas extracted from the Black Sea, the Black Sea Oil and Gas Project. We have a new player, future new player, Romgaz in the Black Sea, and we've got the prospects of increasing the natural gas production from the Black Sea in the next 5 years to 10 billion cubic meters. Although I don't have anything green on me and I'm full black, the color of oil and coal and the other mineral resources of Romania, nonetheless, the National Agency for Mineral Resources, we are the Cinderella of the public authorities in Romania, in my opinion. However, we are taking great steps to create green things too. We will soon relaunch the 11th wave of international bids for oil. I hope that we attract investors to boost the potential introduction that Romania has with respect to oil. We will also launch another wave of bids for geothermal water. We have signed and in progress over 15 progress of geothermal water exploration with licenses granted to local authorities, mostly to the municipalities and territorial units of in the Western country have signed such operating permits, and they can deliver larger or smaller projects to use the geothermal potential. Moreover, a new concern that our agency has currently is to identify the sites and to trigger the necessary legal change to store CO2. We need green energy, and that green energy can also be produced from coal and other fossil fuels using sites and the resources that Romania has by storing CO2. I hope that soon the first project that was initiated in Romania by FFPG in partnership with our agency to identify a first site and maybe to start in 2023 the first pilot project to store CO2 in Romania in the onshore. Then, future studies for the offshore potential to store CO2 to bring us the necessary capacity of 5-10 million tons of CO2 per year. Thank you and all the best from me.
Foarte eficient dacă România
Very effective. If Romania distinguished with something was by storing underground the natural gas. And now by exploiting natural gas in Romania, we can now speak of storing carbon dioxide, which is needed in order to put to value totally the resources of natural gas as fossil fuel until it is depleted. There is a possibility of capturing it. Well, let us come back to our representative from Brussels, Mr. Tudor Constantinescu, if we can. Let's
Hello?
him.
Hello? Do you hear me?
Foarte mult.
Yes, we can hear you. Sorry for this delay. Everyone is paying attention to you and listening to you now. Thank you.
Bună ziua! În primul rând, mulțumesc domnului președinte Iancu, mulțumesc organizatorilor și World Energy Council pentru invitație. Now I will shift to English. I'm very pleased to be with you here today and to share some thoughts from our Director General for Energy, from Dita Jorgensen. We very much welcome this event in Romania, and we very much welcome the role Romania plays in the energy policies of Europe and also on the regional basis. It is an important dimension of Central Southeastern Europe as well for this period of the energy transition, which is more challenging because hardly we came out of the pandemics, and then we saw the rise in energy prices because of the increase in demand. And in the beginning of this year, we saw the Russian invasion in Ukraine and the war, which created additional challenges for all of us. Now, I have to say that the energy policy and the green transition, on the other hand, of the European Union has been not undermined by these challenges. On the contrary, the Green Deal, which you all know, which was one of the first initiatives of this Commission of President von der Leyen, has really tried to put us on track not only on carbon neutrality, but also to be more ambitious for 2030, which is Fit for 55, I'll refer briefly, which means to accelerate investments over the next decade, to avoid lock-in effects in fossil fuels, to avoid stranded assets later on, and to really modernize the economies, modernize the aging energy infrastructure in Europe, and build up on the technological development on which we have, over the last decade, invested significantly in research and innovation, for example. And an illustration of that is hydrogen, where 10, 15 years ago, we were speaking of electrolyzers of 10, 15 kilowatts, and now we have several projects of 100 megawatts under construction in Europe, and we have targets of 40 gigawatts at least, which now with the REPowerEU increased even more. And the industry identified 60 gigawatts by 2030. But let me mention, this is just an illustration, that the Green Deal actually came with this strong dimension of making a modernization of the energy system and linking stronger than ever the energy transition, the energy policies with the industrial policies in Europe. Unfortunately now, due to the war in Ukraine, we have to make this link even stronger, also with another dimension, which is energy security. By investing in energy efficiency, by investing in renewables, we not only advance our industrial policies, create jobs and growth in Europe, but we also improve our energy security overall. With REPowerEU, you have noticed, and this is a strong commitment from our leaders, heads of states and governments, by 2027 already to get out of this dependence from Russia on fossil fuels and gas in particular. This will require investments of about 210 billion euros over the next years. But this is very much articulated along and in line with the investments we have developed under the recovery and resilience plans in the context of coming out of the pandemics and the economic crisis. And having the strongest budget, which was mentioned already, of 1.8 trillion for Europe altogether in this period, to modernize our economies. Still, all this public money are not sufficient if we don't have the reforms in place, the legislations, the regulations, which enable this market transformation without precedent. And for this reason, the Fit for 55 came last year with concrete targets, more ambitious for energy efficiency, also for renewables, doubling from the 20% in 2020 to 40% in 2030. Now we see that these targets may need to be even more ambitious in the context of energy security and of the REPowerEU. But it's not only about these targets and the measures we put in place, in particular in sectors where the penetration of renewables was lower, heating and cooling, transport, and where the role of synthetic fuels and hydrogen is very important. Because we need to decarbonize both the electrons, but also the molecules of the energy system. But we know that by 2050, the share of electricity will increase from about 1/4 now to about half in total final energy consumption. But still half of the energy system will rely on molecules. And this needs to be decarbonized as well, in line with what we announced under the energy system integration concept. With the REPower, all these things have to be now accelerated. And in short terms, of course, we have to look at energy savings first. We have to look at diversification of sources for gas, in particular, but not only LNG. Make use also of the resources we have, like Romania has, for example, as well in this field. On the other hand, we need to look at medium and long term. And for this, we have plans on solar, we have plans on doubling the installation rate of heat pumps, we have doubling the biomethane production, and we have a strong accelerator on hydrogen, making a course, first of all, doubling the production in Europe compared to what we had announced under the Fit for 55, but also opening the possibilities of importing renewable hydrogen, in particular in Europe. So all these elements will bring us the benefits which we think are necessary for making the energy transition at the same time just, affordable, but also transforming European economy in a competitive one, which is very important for Romania as well.
And if it is something from our side, we think, and we see very important, is that Romania is playing its role and tapping the potential it has in terms of, first of all, on energy efficiency, where, by the way, by investing in energy efficiency, all of the IEA studies show also that it's an area where most of the jobs are created at local level. So it's a huge economic impact, which is very much necessary under the current context of also the inflation. On the other hand, to tap the potential for renewables, not only for electricity, but also for hydrogen production, and for linking stronger to the results of research and innovation, where needs to invest also more, and tap the entire potential which exists in this field. As it is for other resources like natural gas, for example, but where it's important to build a value chain, to build some manufacturing capabilities which to support this, and also to make best use of the results of these projects and to finance the energy transition, investing in productive capacities and in helping the European economy to reindustrialize in the new, more advanced technologies which are important for the energy transition, but also for the jobs and growth. Finally here, I think I should mention the infrastructure. You know, in the context of European semester, one of the important recommendations we have for countries in the region is, and also for Romania, is to strengthen the interconnections, to be able to play this role also in relation to energy. Solidarity, we have across member states, you know, for example, the provisions on storage, but not only on the gas storage, but will be also important for hydrogen and for electricity. And furthermore, to play in its advantage the capacities at the Black Sea, the port of Constanța, the river, the Danube, so which may help the entire energy transition and the role of Romania in the region and also at the European level. There are resources in this which needs that we speak about recovery and resilience plans, the structural funds, and also the additional possibilities now which were created to repower EU, which needs to be tapped. And what needs to happen now is these concrete projects which to look both at the energy and the industrial dimension of the energy transition. Thank you, and I wish you a successful conference. Thank you again for the invitation, and I will have the pleasure to be again with you during the next days. Thank you very much. Mulțumesc.
Mulțumesc foarte mult.
Thank you. Very important information received. A commitment of the European Union to accelerate property finance. Now I will give the floor to the minister, particularly others, because our main move was directly in charge of technology, the structures, the Romanian justice, one of the most sensitive dilemma here. Is the country and ask myself whether I should speak in Romanian or to my speech or should I as something on the path of an international regional organization who is working longer with English and given congratulate the organizers for having this forum provided significant international participation. How we thought and we took a listen of how might fit the following things quickly.
Once again, I'd like to convey to the Romanian National Committee of the World Electric Council my heartfelt thanks for having so kindly invited me to participate in this forum. I would also like to congratulate the organizers for the topic they have chosen for this edition of the world. Indeed, it is difficult, practically impossible for an endeavor such as the energy transition to be successful without cooperation, be it at bilateral, regional, or global level. As the Secretary General of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, that is the representative of an Organization for Economic Cooperation, I'm therefore most grateful and honored to be given the opportunity to express some support. Therefore, all the more so as energy is one of the top priorities in the activity of my organization. But before doing that, I'm going to allow me a few words about this organization. Well, 2022, you may wish to know that it is the year of the 40th anniversary of this organization. It started in 1992 as an initiative aimed at fostering peace, stability, and prosperity in the Black Sea region through economic cooperation. And this is now the oldest institutionally speaking organization in the region and maturing the government of the organization, which has proved itself to be a genuine regional vehicle for the promotion of economic dialogue and coordination of that region. While the main focus of business activity is to strengthen the cooperation for sustainable economic development, we also seek to contribute to a partner cooperation, dialogue, and good neighborly relations, which in their turn can have strong dividends for regional confidence building, security, and stability. The very fact that the people has over the years succeeded to serve as an instrument of multilateral cooperation in the region, it is a region which has its own challenges, and to be, and to speak in euphemistic terms, a region which has many sensitivities, to say the least. This very fact is by itself a real accomplishment to which a genuine economic, to which I invest genuine economic achievements. And this is the reason why we think that we are motivated to celebrate this organization at its 30th anniversary. And we have to prepare for that. And also, both the can be achievements so far, but also let's learn to try to define in the best possible way our priorities for the years to come. But unfortunately, recent developments and the current situation in the region, well, I think that everybody just what I'm referring to, namely the war in Ukraine, it has been affected us in our endeavors. And I think it has been affected the region as a whole and not only. We are, of course, I said we are an economic organization, but we are, of course, aware of the fact that we are not living in a vacuum. But nevertheless, it's hard to move. And I have to confess to you that I could not imagine with it such unhappy development as I was the one that I was referring to. Now, coming to the topic of today's forum, I want to stress that the Black Sea area is one of the most geostrategic reservoirs, spreading between two continents, Europe, Asia, and North Africa, and serving as a very significant transport and especially energy hub. The coronavirus outbreak and now the war I refer to have shown how vulnerable the energy market is and remains. How much demand, supply, and consumption in the sector are impacted by such development. And in order to adequately manage these negative impacts, enhancing regional cooperation and coordination mechanisms is becoming a must. The legal transition towards green energy is acknowledged as of particular importance in this respect, and we in this are carefully aware and are making a priority right now of our lives. And in so doing, we start fulfilling the green transition of a multidimensional cost, covering almost all areas of our economic and social activities. Let me now say a few words about what we have been doing within our organization and within our region in order to promote the energy transition with focus on green energy. We have been a working group on energy, which has been one of, if not the most active of the working groups, all the working groups, they are around 20 of our organization. The key priorities of this activity are defined in the goal number 4, sustainable energy and development of the Black Sea energy market, set by the Business Economic Agenda, which was adopted 20 years ago, and we are now working to update this economic agenda. All these activities are in full line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 7, and they are guided by the recent green energy strategy we adopted in June 2018. So this strategic document that this segmented states committed themselves each area, and I'm quoting, to ensure
for the rehabilitation of existing facilities and construction of new energy facilities, taking into account safety considerations, the efficiency and environmental protection criteria. Unquote. We pay special attention to encouraging green energy investment. And for this, we've been organizing a series of forums dedicated to green energy, and the key actor in this respect is the District Green Energy Network. And we've been so far organized 8 such green energy forums with the coordinator of this network, which is the University in Paris. And the next one will be organized in the fall of this year, most in October, again in Athens. In close cooperation with the Permanent Secretary, which I am at the head of, and with the coordinator of the District Energy Network, as I said, we organize this District Energy Forum. Investment in green energy are crucial for the modernization of the energy sector and for achieving the, as I said, the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 7. And I'm absolutely confident that the debate during this forum for Europe will very much help us in better streamlining our activities dedicated to this extremely important objective, which is that of increasing the weight of the green energy in all our activities and thus protecting the environment in all regions. Not least because, according to many evaluations, pollution in the Black Sea is one of the highest in the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, I thank you very much for your attention. I wish full success to the forum, and allow me to say, to express also my wish to see the Romanian contribution to the activities in participating in the area of energy, and particularly green energy, was more valuable. It's already been a highly valuable, but I think that it is doing so much better. Thanks very much. Once again, to send the consistent
Quite significant intervention over decades of resources in the Black Sea, focusing on what we already know as natural oil, hydro gas, but so far, it isn't because of the foods, because of the rainfall of the allowing me now to interfere to the one part that presents us for one of the institutions that the EU considers when we prepare them. A step for single voice energy association, energy representatives, taking a closer to the single market. Single voice is represented by the representative. Wrong freedom to member states to decide their own policies. However, do the right thing, and now sure you already have experience in the relation with energy company corporation. Well, that's what also the feeling of doing anything, too, so. Hello. Thank you for the invitation, thank you for the introduction. We are Education Council in the field we are represented in Hungary. And in the Agri Initiative Project, for 1.5 hours, we're saying today that it's a small business sector. We would have a noise meeting, we have friends, so we can go interesting topics. But it will be quite a disturbing meeting. Given the situation in Europe and Romania, I expected to be quite a bit complaining. So, Renewable has this great talent of seeing the world, the glass half full, the opportunities. When your state was honestly wrong, I think I'm the most optimistic of the people so far. I didn't speak ahead with the church but I also wanted to start with the ideas about those issues because your patients, well, as in women, I don't want to leave it. I'll speak of something that was said, I'll speak of the market and how it came to be. I'll see it in the media, I'll have discussions in my family with them. I don't really look at the Romanian public opinion, but in the Romanian public opinion, in the European, yes, but in the European, it's not opinion no. Because there's a link between the energy process, the gas prices, and drug activity. For us, it's not that clear. That's how we reached the factory last year to compare to the employment. We didn't know that that's why they're doing it. And 6 years of very very much something process of gas, electricity, that higher cost of electricity generated by gas is more expensive than the one generated by fuel, which is quite a surprise. It hasn't happened before. I don't have real experience. Since I've been in the energy market, it never happened at the margin cost. So the electricity price is given by gas and coal. If we don't manage to have people make this link between the war, worker, and the suffering that we're going through, unfortunately, I feel it's going to be quite difficult in the next years. It's going to be difficult to keep having the political support and the political support for the measures that we are taking. Secondly, well, good things coming from Brussels, and if we take it back down, it's very clear that the EU was thinking about this crisis, and I don't think we should be surprised that it was taken back to part. Speak of energy as a geopolitical side of things, but somehow we got it into our heads that it's totally quite right. The rising cost and also in Greece, in Europe, energy is not because it has geopolitical risks. There is no problem that we depend on Russia because Russia has been behaving so nicely since the 18th level. It cuts costs and gas. Well, the strategic blindness is now in the past. Irrespective of how things will evolve in the past in the next month, I don't think we'll go back to accepting independence on Russia. All in all, we have lessons of the past, and when we think EU surprised in the reactions that Brussels has shown. And this really because what can be done and what cannot be done, but two kids run that toolbox in from the force and give us was better than what we perceive now. Anyhow, under the pressure of this crisis, Europe has failed to deliver a message for the United States. And Romania is, it doesn't have a strong compass from abroad. Romania doesn't know what to do either. This crisis because our weakness is ourselves. Not necessarily weaker than others, but it's not something that was too far to reflect it off in this period. But given that there's no logic to energy, we somehow step around because it's absolutely difficult. But when there's a crisis, you go back to what's enough, right? That's the reason. That's the reason. You go to a comfort zone, you do what you need to do. Unfortunately, what we need now to do is triple. We do it twice. Instead of going to an energy market that makes less economic sense, we really regret it. Now, this does not come by any surprise. Some of you know our opinions actually really positively with our opinions, right? However, we were trying to help those in need, those vulnerable, those household consumers or the consumers, or something like that. But now we're back to sharing help without any bias, without any difference, it's vulnerable and non-vulnerable. We have no money left for the large industrial consumers. The market doesn't make sense anymore. I don't see why anyone here now from the household consumers would bother to choose a super supply. What's the point? Why go through the bother of saving energy? I don't see any incentive. Purpose of the market is a new resources expensive, try to pay lower price, try to use less of what is more expensive, right? This is what the market is for. This is what market economy is for. And it's really making no sense anymore at this point. Now, actually, let me tell you what I believe can be done and what will happen because life will force us to go along these lines. So we'll have to redesign the support of the system. We'll have to come back to the idea of making it more logical, economically, to focus on those that need it most, to help others adapt, to switch on to energy efficiency. To have this market, the competition between the suppliers, to force to have the suppliers, they're not cheaper, cheaper sources of energy. Secondly, renewables are mentioned there quite a lot, and there's a lot of money in this. Yanku, secondary, minister, they've all mentioned this. What I would mention this because energy is to learn from the good and the bad things that we've done in the first generation of support for renewables. Let's make this support not that expensive. Well, it was the first type of approach for this is lost, but there was a counter reaction. First, those generous reactions, measures, cut back from the government. So let's avoid this back and forth, okay? Let's try to find those support measures that are proportionate, proper, and that can be sustainable by us, the government, by you, and the market, and keeping it stable. That's why I'm happy that we're using funders and this from the discussions with our President of Ghana, his colleagues, his states that they're going on. This is contract sector. These are methods that have it makes economic sense and will help us with proportionality. The second aspect is very important because in this period this the period will be volatile with this. We have to have the ability to export and import energy, whether from the other. And this is the role. This is the role of along these lines, either willingly, either pushed by the administration. So, all in all, we're heading along these lines. But I think there's something else left. And I now come here to what the Minister of Domestic Affairs is a security part, a cyber security part. And as the incident in Europe has been attacked in the brain, not as severe as we see it, but I think cybersecurity really was tackled. I'm going to forum on Tuesday on the Bucharest, this topic of security will be tackled. And it's not just cybersecurity, physical security. Mr. Romanescu mentioned the Black Sea. If there's a ship going to the Black Sea, it's more expensive than before the crisis. There's still increased prices for oil. To set up a rig there, what will be the cost to set up gas platform when you've got these Western or Ukrainian mines or missiles? God forbid a drone might wander off and God knows where it might end up. And to keep up a security corridor to transport things from Ukraine, you have to take into account liquid gas, rigs, and other such resources in the Black Sea. Protect them. I don't know. It's a common if you just think that oil states or if it's other too. Now, to conclude, I'm happy that we'll be talking about foreign. Obviously, financing for renewable is important, and that's quite open because we've allowed for contracts, for bilateral, for FSP2. I think that one point at the European level, I believe this. I don't know if Minister Bano is here. I think we've gone too far with the ESP. With it from investment in oil and gas has deepened its responses. We see a reduction in production. I understand the idea of some assets, but we have to find a balance. Nobody is going to invest assets that disappeared far years when they would be depreciated in 20. So a certain period of time is still need to explore oil and gas. This has to be financeable. If financial markets don't do this or are not allowed to do this, this is an issue. And now to the consequence, for my last idea, I'm a person that in general sees an energy protection as a major role for Europe. I think that we need one thing to do, really, that we have to do is in one step, two steps behind reality. I think we need more coordination. One example where Europe did well was vaccines. United in the purchasing vaccines. I don't know how the joint national was discussed, but I do see a more solid government of Europe in the member states, and both to good if we rationalize that. So, the model rationalization, okay? So, that's where we will be the European European Union. I'm sure that other presentations will follow the normal activities. That's all I could. Thank you so much for your attention.
Please,
judgment for the past mistakes, but not only. And when security is top priority, the other elements are less relevant because you have to focus on security mainly. It's true that this means steps back, changing access promotion to single market, single voice, to states becoming solidary and interconnecting networks. That's when security is affected. This hesitation appears. Now, please allow me to think that if things are so difficult to manage here, just imagine what our colleagues from Moldova are facing. And we are honored to have with us Mr. Vyacheslav Zastavnetsky, the representative of Mold Electrica, and who has a message to us, hoping that the moment comes when systems, especially the Moldovan one, can be based on energy production, especially offshore wind on the Black Sea. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, dear colleagues, good afternoon. Today we participate in an important event, and I'm very happy and honored to be here with you in this edition of the Energy Forum 2022. I want to express my gratitude to the Romanian National Committee and to the World Energy Council for the invitation extended. By tradition, we have here specialists in energy from several countries. I am persuaded that both this exchange of opinions and scientific ideas, but also exchange of experience among participants along this event will be highly beneficial to the energy sector. I represent as a Vice General Manager the state enterprise Mold Electrica with high ambitions, with a history longer than 20 years in specializing and updating the transport system in Moldova, in the Republic of Moldova. We have a long history starting with the development of electrical networks themselves. If you remember, I'm sure you all know that the Republic of Moldova is between Romania and Ukraine geographically, but ideologically we are choking between East and West world. The war has started, and it was being happy out of unhappiness. So one thing couldn't have been possible without the other. So Ukraine, because of this very unhappy war, stopped being in the IPS system. For more than 10 years we have been trying to integrate into the NSOE system of continental Europe. Ever since the war has started, several studies have been conducted requiring tests conducted in the past 2 years. Studies showing tests in power plants, theoretical, we've had theoretical studies. And a consortium was set up, representatives of NSOE, the leaders of the consortium being France Electrica. So France Electrica is with us, has always been, and we hope that it will lead us on our joining the NSOE. After connecting to this network, the decade of effort us connecting to it. We thought we would, and we hope that things will be easier. But afterwards, a more complex period will start. All documentation will have to be really analyzed, updated and upgraded to harmonize with European directives and to the MSOE requirements. So we need more than ever the guidance of Transelectrica. From political point of view, is Moldova, the Republic of Moldova, is looking for ways to join Europe, we in the energy field have already joined Europe. Briefly, let me mention few key elements anticipated this event from history point of view. On the 6th of July 2017 entered into force the conditions of interconnection Ukraine, Moldova, and with Central Europe. Then, in 19, service contract was concluded for conducting the studies already mentioned. Studies which represented an important step in harmonizing system tests for the plans were conducted, followed by an effort involved in the process of preparing and synchronizing. Even in a difficult situation of Ukraine, it's important to mention the excellent level of fulfilling the task. We are now at crossroads. We look at the future with responsibility, and we look back and judge how much has been achieved and become aware of how much we still have to do. As the European system operator, we have to follow several steps to certify as an independent operator. They implement measure catalog for integrating and ancillary, then aligning our internal processes with ancillary processes. Another historical point, our company was entering into force of new rules as of the 1st of June 2022. The market has not completely opened. It's opened only partially. We have made the first step by introducing the bilateral and the bilateral contracts on the bilateral market. But in Moldova, we do not have liquid and energy market and balancing the market because we only have one central that can provide such services in Transnistria. We do not really control it. The technical commitments exist, so we cooperate. Over the past period, investments have been allotted, directed to develop transport infrastructure by developing internal transport and extending interconnections with Romania. The project of 400 kilometers for Bucharest-Chișinău, a line which was not built over the 40 years, then extending 330 kilovolts to accommodate Bucharest-Chișinău, building 400 line Bălți-Suceava, a long time needed project that will be accelerated in the future. Now, back-to-back project in Vulcanese, Isacta, is submitted to a study to update it to the current situation, today's situation. It's possible to have it built or not, as the study has shown it, as synchronizing has taken place, but its aim, the aim of the back-to-back station, in principle, was interconnection with Romania in asynchronous mode. Well, ladies and gentlemen, these are our tasks in front of us, ahead of us, which will be tackled and persuaded that I will be helped by our colleagues from Trilemma as guides, and with whom we will discuss details, agenda, working program, and how to be even better cooperation. I wish you full success in your activity in the forum. Thank you for your attention. Thank our colleague for making the effort to be present here. Your steps have been made by Transelectrica. You have an extraordinary support in Mr. Gabriel Andronache. Transelectrica joined the European Union 3 years before Romania did. This is your destiny. We know in detail, in every detail, how difficult it is. Now, please, the next speakers, we are all tired, and speakers could be brief, please. So I'll give the floor to the president of the Romanian-German Industry and Commerce Chamber, Mr. Andreas Lier.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure and honor for me to join the conference today, and on behalf of AHK, our best wishes for a good conference. The topic of the conference is more important than ever. It is key. Why? There are several reasons. Hence, the horrible war of Russia against Ukraine challenged the energy landscape. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the EU Green Deal is redesigning the energy and industry agenda. The German-Romanian Chamber of Commerce and Industry values this conference. Some words about us. We have more than 550 member companies, and they are employing almost 250,000 employees. Germany is Romania's most important trading partner, and industry needs energy. The EU Green Deal and this transition can only succeed, ladies and gentlemen, if our industry and energy companies remain competitive and strong. Let me highlight some of the priorities we do see. First, we need energy at competitive prices. Cheap green energy in its significant quantities is needed. Second, we need to foster innovation and investments into new renewables. And third, we need to speed up creating energy infrastructure and fast approval processes. Politics, ladies and gentlemen, needs to be supportive here. Let me come to Romania and the excellent opportunities in this wonderful country, where I'm living now since 3 years. I love it, I have to say. Romania can position itself as a regional hub, energy hub, and with this further develops its industrial footprint. Ladies and gentlemen, I was surprised, but Romania has one of the best wind areas in Europe. Excellent opportunities for the industry, for the electrification of the industry. And the Romanian GDP, ladies and gentlemen, can be boosted by fossils and renewables. This can even multiply the value through the industrial investments. Ladies and gentlemen, to make this transition happen, to make the energy sector happen, industry and politics and energy sector need to be collaborative, ever than closer. Ladies and gentlemen, the keys are in our hands. The keys can unlock the potentials, and the best is to come for Romania. In this spirit, on behalf of AHK, we wish you a successful and good event. Thank you.
So this is the efficiency, this is essence. So 250,000, if I understood well, and this is a huge number of employees today. Sorry. Next speaker is Mr. Kurt Werner, which is here on Horvat. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kurt Weber. I would like to be very brief when we speak of this topic. I've listened carefully to what the Romanian authorities have set as objectives. We know the Romanian energy industry and system in Romania for more than 15 years. As a German company, we are involved in what happens in energy transition and in the green transformation that happens worldwide, at European level as well. And allow me to tell you now of the event that Horvat has organized with our Dutch partners, energy transition in the Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Ruhr and Antwerp area. Why is this interesting? The Rotterdam harbor and its infrastructure is an interesting laboratory, almost 600,000 jobs, 12 refineries, I don't know how many chemical compounds. You can really study directly what energy transformation means. Something that I've learned there that I believe is very important for all of us in the room is that if we want this to happen, we have to work together. What does it mean to work together? The political sector, the administration has to work together as it happens in the Netherlands with the Rotterdam harbor, the private and public sector on a strategy. What do we want? By when? How do we want to achieve this? So we should invite the private sector, invite the companies, discuss of their expectations from us. It's beautiful that we are preparing projects, and I was really happy, Mr. Dragan, to hear of your intentions. What I fear is that, well, you have the plans, we have master plans to integrate all of these projects, or do we just risk that these hydrogen-based projects are just some islands that will not raise to the level of expectations set? This is one risk. This brings me to another point that I've learned. The issue called of the dilemma, chicken or the egg. If we want the energy transition to be a success, we have to think of this. Who takes the first step? Do we just rely on the private area, that they will invest in hydrogen generating projects, that it will invest in pipelines to transport hydrogen, in PV farms, or the public sector should be the one that should take the first step, alongside with state-owned companies, with distributors in energy and gas, that as in the Rotterdam harbor. What do? They take the first step. They invest in infrastructure and in connecting points, in pipelines, in infrastructure necessary for the other operators to link in and to use green energy from the Northern Sea and from other areas in their production. So, this is a key message and a recipe to success that we should also implement in Romania, apart from many other things that still need improvement. But this has to be the spirit to which we speak here today and to which we tackle the issues. Thank you. Thank you.
Da, de vin au fost ochelarii mei, domnule Weber. Așa este, dar să știți că dacă până în prezent...
Well, if so far it was quite a gap or a problem in getting together politicians and operators, this is no longer possible. Without operators, we can't overcome this crisis. Let us conclude by giving the floor and asking again to be very brief to the large companies, and of course let's start from the backbone of the entire system, from Transelectrica, Mr. Andronache, that I now kindly ask to take the floor. I saw him before in the room. I do hope he's in the room still. If not, I made this change. It's my fault. Maybe I've given him the floor too soon. If you would like to tell me, is the representative of the Oltenia energy compound in the room? Madam Lăcrămioara Diaconu Pinta. Apologies for calling you differently, by a different first name, says the speaker. Hello. No worries about the name. It's quite funny. Many times people, instead of calling me Lăcrămioara, they call me Luminița. Never have I heard Gabriela before. So, thank you for the opportunity to convey some messages. I understand that we have to rush. I'll be very brief in my intervention. For us, in the Oltenia energy compound, the year 2020 is one in which we celebrate 10 years of Oltenia energy compound. 10 years ago, this company was set up by bringing together the relevant operators in producing hard coal and hard coal-based energy. 10 years of beautiful moments in the beginning, unfortunately followed by less nice things. 2 years ago, we spoke of insolvency or restructuring. And the company was in a situation in which no financier wanted to support it, no bank wanted to do this. It was clear that after the losses in the previous years of over 2 billion lei, there was no funding or support coming its way. So it was the safety net was the state aid. Now, any state aid, and we have with us the chair of the Competition Council, it's no easy mission. We were quite nervous in the beginning in believing that we can get the state aid. We've managed to do what seemed to be impossible at first. Even if initially we were confused or went through bottlenecks when the European Commission opened an investigation some a little over a year ago, what did we do? We changed the strategy, and we headed to, and we sought the help of all those that could help us. And it wasn't just the Romanian state that supports such an effort. We need financing banks, we need partners in the market to get involved. We need all shareholders of the company and not just one. So month in, month out, day in, day out, at the beginning of last year, until December 2021, we've managed to create this cooperation, because we speak today, and in this conference of cooperation, these partnerships that we are creating for new investments. And as the State Secretary Dragan mentioned, we will build over 2,000 megawatts of in new projects, the PVs and gas. We have 2 lines of banking finance with project finance, not any kind, about to be structured. It's hundreds of millions of euros that the Oltenia Energy Compound will be drawing in the following years, alongside the partners and their contribution. So it's an entire plethora, an orchestra that sees into the future in the compound to be this backbone that we speak of. It's no easy year, because the situation in the market, okay, yes, helps us. The income has increased. Maybe we'll speak of some profit at the end of the year. But the situation on the international market, when you start with new projects, with such a dynamic, with such uncertainty, will not make our mission too easy. So we need to focus both on short-term resilience to support the energy sector in Romania. We have measures in the restructuring plan that allow backup or resilience functioning for the energy system, but we should also focus at the same time on the new projects, the future of this company. And thus, we will contribute once again to the security of the national energy system through the new capacities that the Oltenia compound will be installing starting 2024, the PVs, and continuing in 2026 with the gas-powered plants. So, what we have to do is to build trust, as we've done so far, sticking to our commitments and believing in people, because what happened so far came from the contribution of the teams in Oltenia, the consultants, with the support of the authorities that I hope we can rely on in going forth. Thank you very much.
Lăcrămioara este un nume foarte frumos, cu foarte puternică.
Well, Lăcrămioara is quite the resounding name, but the issue was with Mr. Gabriel, that actually I saw Gabriel in the chair, and when calling him to the stage, I couldn't see him anymore. So that's why I said Gabriela, but Lăcrămioara is quite a beautiful name. You will be a symbol, in my opinion, in this transition process. There is also the resource, the Just Transition Fund. However, the process means suffering, and the burden, the weight will be for you to bear, and for our colleagues in the Oltenia Energy Compound. Director General, please, you have the floor. Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I'm so happy to be with you. Congratulations to the organizers. Everybody in the energy sector looked forward to this event to happen in person, to share ideas, to adapt to the new changes, the new requirements. We see that these are ever more challenging. 4 years ago, we spoke of the Paris Agreement. Then things, well, because this had been signed in November 2015, it was still something to speak of. The US at that time decided to exit a bit the Paris Agreement. Things have evolved differently, and we are now in 2022 with new challenges. there's a conflict at the border, a volatile energy area, both regarding gas and electricity. We want, as Transelectrica, to be visionaries, to see the challenges of the moment, and I'm speaking here to green energy. As you very well know, we are now focusing on two coordinates to meet internal and external demands. We have 18,000 installed capacities. We can still install another 9,300. We currently have permits issued for renewable wind and PV permits 2,800, available for another 6,000. Requests to connect of over 18,000 currently, and according to the obligations undertaken in 2015, we have to install this capacity by another 2,850, and in 2030 by another 2,800, so that Romania will have, at the end of 2030, over 33,000 megawatts. Things are so beautifully put, but as mentioned earlier, we need to store it. We need storage capacities to balance things out. And what is very nice, that those that come for that submit requests to link to connect to the grid, they also request for storage capacity. Although not regulated, although enforced, although not required, they understood that this is a necessity. Taking a look behind, 10 years ago, 1 megawatt entailed costs for storage of about 2,800 euro. Now, it has halved, which makes it interesting and appealing to investors in the sector. Moreover, as State Secretary Dragan said, we want to make things work. So for modernization, we have projects of about 476 million euro in the making. We all wanted to close the 400 ring of Romania. Things are going forward. Things are burning. We are really referring to Anina Reșița iron gates, and on the modernization fund will go to the Reșița, Timișoara, Arad, closing the loop on the never-ending story of Gădălin Suceava. The project is under the modernization fund, two in Caravani, one in Suceava, 400 stations of 101 million euro. And of course, even further, we are visionaries, as I said, to the offshore, where over 3,000 megawatts will be installed, and we have to get ready for the 3,000 megawatts that will also go into the Dobroja area, where there's a blockage. That's why we're working technically to find solutions. Well, in addition, from Tuzla-Pârnișor, we want to exit out to the west in Atlac, and we try to see if we go with aerial lines or with underground continuous current, because the Transgas network goes through along the Danube. And all of these, because we are visionaries, as I said, to evacuate it even from, or to take it out from Bulgaria. This congestion in Romania can also be seen in Bulgaria, northeast. If we carry out a cross-border interconnection, things will be similar as in our case. When they've got extra energy, we have extra energy. When they don't have it, we don't have it. We can share both the poverty and the richness. And Transelectrica, as you know, has to provide security of the national energy system, but we are a company that is judged according to the economic indicators. We're not the Red Cross, so this will really will have to be taken into account in our indicators. Now, coming back to what is the cross-border exchange all about? If 10 years ago we are about 1,500 megawatts, currently we export 2,500, 3,000 we import, and according to the obligations undertaken in the EU, in 2030 we will reach 8,000 megawatts. And because, as our colleague from Moldova mentioned, I've had a very interesting discussion with Vyacheslav, and we spoke even of going further from Leden to Suceava to Bălți. Their grid there is about 330 kilovolts, so we should create a 330 trafo point. And to conclude, not to go now without further ado, quoting from a very beautiful movie from Humphrey Bogart, at the end of Casablanca, I feel this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Thank you. I don't believe that Transelectrica in its history knew an ever-increasing request and wave of interconnections, modernization, development works. It is indeed unprecedented. Quite the challenge for the current staff. And if last winter, actually in January, there weren't any faults in the system, this is just the result of the efforts of the experts in Transelectrica and the distribution, and that's how I moved to the distributors of electricity. And to leave it as a model and symbol of summary and short message, I now give the floor to Mr. Borota, who in just 2 minutes will tell you more than others have shared in 10. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's late. I'll try to be as concise as the chair has demanded. I am honored to be with you, with the elite of the energy specialists in Romania, and I'm sure we will see our mission through. This is positive. So far, we've heard of all the problems we are facing. We are here to solve them, all these problems. From CES, I'll be very brief. We are those that work in a sustainable development. We look to the bright future. We take the steps. We've undertaken the zero GHG, the greenhouse gas emissions, and by 2040 we aim to make this happen. Going through distribution, 8 years ago we've started a large transformation process, the distribution of electricity. We've implemented digitalization. Our network is healing itself mostly. So we have the self-skilling process implemented. We're working with drones, with specialists in remote locations, and this has really has incentivized us to deal with less resources. We have a very advanced SCADA implementation process, 4 stations already implemented, 3,400 prosumers, the largest in the country. The speed will be quite large, and this will really shift the paradigm from the distributed capacity and the sense of energy from consumer, prosumer to the network, and less the other way around. It's quite a promising start that we believe will continue in an expedited pace. With respect to smart metering, we are within the parameters set by UNRE. This year, we have 83,000 smart meters to be set up at the consumers' points. We've started with charging stations for electrical vehicles. We are about to implement it, and as Transelectrica, we aim to attract European funds. We already have more than 35 million already cashed in. This year we get ready to get both. We've got Norwegian funds, and we also aim to receive under the Modernization Fund and the ODD. On renewables, to be brief, we aim this year to implement batteries of 6,000 megawatts, which is the largest offshore since commissioning in Europe. We have a micro hydroid toy of 0.4 megawatts also on Norwegian funds, and we aim to have at the end of this year funding for 1 megawatt PV at the river, in the Reshica Lake. And on European funds, we also want to pilot a project for green hydrogen. On supply, apart from the challenges that all suppliers have been facing in the past 6 months, we continue with digital services, and the pandemic really found us ready. Through call center, we can operate anything with respect to the consumer distribution operator relation. We have diverse packages, and we want to continue with the diversity. You can count on us. We are here to support. Thank you so much.
Cu atât mai meritorii rezultatele și implicarea dumneavoastră, cu cât ați făcut și
The more so valuable your contribution that you changed share something. Now, Transelectrica Mrs. Rodica Suciu, we invite her to reposition Ladies in Energy.
Bună ziua, doamnelor și domnilor.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I hope you have enough energy for me to listen to 5 minutes, not 7. So I will cut down to 5 minutes. I'm from Transylvania, so I'll try to speed up my speech to speak less than 5 minutes, as a matter of fact. I'm so happy that this FOREN is no longer online, that we can meet face-to-face, or colleagues in the energy sector. Thank you for the organizer who, ever since 1992, have been creating a real platform of communication. Thank you, Chair, and your team. As a sign of respect of Romania, we are gold partners, and we assure you of all our support. You have here people from the academia, decision makers, representatives of operators, and business people from the energy sector. FOREN is a landmark for all energy people from Romania. Now, more than ever, energy market at all levels, national, regional, and global, is very interestingly dynamic, and we players can feel these changes. In the post-pandemic context and during the war period and record prices in energy, change has become a constant. The challenge is to adapt in an optimum way to these major changes. On the one hand, to identify resilient strategies to counteract effects of crisis, and on the other hand, to identify efficient strategies of development for the company, employees, and the Romanian society in general. Our main concern, that is the distribution of electrical energy in Romania, the largest distributor, is to continuously improve the quality of the service to the users connected to the networks they manage. In order to reach the objectives, we have professional team, courageous people ready to overcome all obstacles. I want to thank them all because we manage to distribute energy to around 3.9 million consumers in 18 counties, covering over 40% of the Romanian territory. In this case, the change of the role of distribution operators into system operators is the most important driver of energy transition in the distribution area. Generating distributed generation, increase of prosumers, increase in the numbers of prosumers. Then the emergence of new actors, aggregators, change the systems into distribution systems. Development of smart networks involve important efforts, and for this, the legal context is of tantamount importance. Distribution networks have to follow objectives to reduce carbon footprint, to develop renewable sources with low cost, and for a better energy efficiency. Passing the networks to a third generation supposes developing IT systems and modern communication using equipment, digitizing the processes of data transfer and procurement, but also all the data required for the good functioning of the system. Thus, the network, electric network will be doubled by the IT network. In this respect, we need a coherent and predictable regulatory framework so that operators of the distribution systems might be effective, integrated, and adequately, and costs be recognized in the tariffs. The distribution systems should ensure the possibility of consumers to participate actively to the market, similar to any other participant. So, in a joint effort, regulator and operators, we should start preparing the fifth regulatory period, 2024-28, by setting the needed package of regulators and fundamental principles thereof. We are now in an important moment when operators are being generated in a market context beyond the control and attributions fundamental to the distribution activities, generated by the unprecedented increase in the energy prices. From the situation in which the cost with electricity in order to cover the CPT represented 44%. So from 44 it has reached 131%. This made that the financial results for 2021 and for the first quarter of 2022 be negative. In order to overcome this difficult situation with negative impact on, and by making it impossible to have any investment and being operational, I draw your attention that we need more than ever to have all decision makers involved, and I'm happy that the government is represented here, regulators, distribution regulators, in order to identify quickly the best solutions and the most adequate. I hope I'm not too pessimistic. I will end in a more positive tone. Let's not forget that our mission of us all here present in the hall is, and I will quote from the Bible, let it be light. Thank you, and I wish you full success.
Și lumina se făcea.
And light there was. Please, let us be brief, the remaining speeches, because the minister was supposed to be here until 5 p.m. So, now Mr. Carlo Pinoloni, Enel, one of the most important operators in the most sensitive area, which is Bucharest.
Good afternoon. I will be very brief. Thanks a lot for the invitation. So the present crisis is proving that the decision to go toward the energy transition was correct, and now everybody is rushing in order to accelerate in that direction. Romania has a very huge potential in terms of for reaching this target of more than 31%, because now we are already deciding what to do with the Fit for 55. The energy demand is expected to increase as the urbanization level will increase significantly as well, driving electricity to become a priority in order to ensure the achievement of energy efficiency and decarbonization target. Electrification in transports will be a significant driver of decarbonization as well, and increase energy efficiency by allowing a massive penetration of fully electric private cars. In electrification context, the energy system will become more decentralized, and therefore its smooth functioning will be dependent on the successful interaction between the autonomous components that make it. While not exhaustive, keywords here are prosumers, demand response, distributed generation, energy storage, digitalization, grid connection. The regulatory and policy frameworks will play a key role in allowing the fulfillment of these targets. And here it's important to mention that still there are some important steps to be done, like, for instance, in renewables, the implementation of the Energy Directive here in the country. So, as Enel, we have some concrete example in terms of measures to be taken. For instance, establish a level playing field for all energy carriers, reducing the tax burden on electricity and eliminate practices promoting and subsidizing fossil fuels. Continue the effort to liberalize wholesale and retail electricity markets, increasing predictability and transparency and ensuring fair competition. Increase penetration of renewables in the power sector, taking advantage of Romania's excellent natural resource and replacing the aging capacity of the power generation park, complying with EU sustainability commitments. Here, this will be also the main driver also to reduce significantly the final cost of electricity to the consumer, along with some market rules, and we know very well how much is sensitive this kind of subject in this very moment. Increase system flexibility and decrease the balancing cost for the system by defining a new regulation promoting energy storage and demand-side flexibility. Promote energy efficiency intervention across various sectors, building insulation, industrial processes, decentralized power generation. Put forward a renewed policy framework for transport in order to accelerate the deployment of electric mobility. All the last four initiatives that I mentioned could be pursued exploiting the European funds, which represents an exceptional opportunity in order to accelerate the transition. As recently proven also by the further 300 billions that should be devoted by energy sector that has been recently proposed at EU level in order to overcome the crisis and the consequence of this very horrible war that is close to us. The last remarks, I have a couple of last remarks, two of them. We have to get there. In this very moment, we are suffering a huge crisis. As far as supply companies, at least for Enel is concerned, we are, the risk of insolvency is quite concrete due to the amount at stake to be reimbursed in the next future. We enter in the crisis in terms of prices. And connected to this point, I would mention also a second one, that we should start discussing what should happen, basically starting from the second quarter of next year, when supposedly the ordinance will be lifted and is going to expire, because obviously we can't sustain the shock of energy prices that at that time will be in any case significantly higher than the ones that we have now. So I don't want to be pessimistic, but we have a lot of work to do. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Indeed, a lot of work. Your experience in Italy, and not only, and specific challenges specific to the Romanian sector will be of interest to our debate. It's very interesting, the position of E.ON, of President Rafael Volker, if he is still with us.
Please. You have the floor. Thank you. So I'll try to make it short. Is still there some energy in this room, I hope? Yes? Okay, some is left. That's good. So, I have 5 things. First of all, I think Moscow is using energy as a weapon in this moment, and we should all stand together to deal with the situation, and we should not attack each other as it has been the case in last winter. Let's solve the problem together and let's not fight each other. And I was happy to hear the statement, we also need the operators, and I think, yes, we as operators want to contribute to the solution. Let's do it together. First thing. For this, now topic number 4 from the back. We have to solve the past. There was, in October, when there was no government in Romania in place, or no formal government in place, a law making some rules for the winter, and still today the money is not yet paid in full to the operators, and this is not okay, and it must be cleared. Let's fix the past in order to concentrate on the present and the future. Topic number 3. The distribution system operators are operating a critical infrastructure. I have been in after the first days of the Ukrainian war at the border, and we have prepared against physical attacks. We have connected refugee camps. We are preparing against cyber attacks. Critical infrastructure for Romania, for Romanians in Romania, and this I think is important, and therefore I'm not agreeing with the idea to freeze tariffs, or at least we need to have clarity what comes next, otherwise it's not feasible to maintain the investments as they are needed, and investments are needed. And now topic number 2 from the back. I was not hearing enough about energy efficiency. I was hearing about more building new power plants here and there, but I was not hearing about energy efficiency. This is key because it can happen quickly, and it's not okay to waste energy in times where there's not enough of it. So I think altogether let's concentrate more on energy efficiency, and I think if you do not do it in Romania, Romania would arrive in April next year when a new scheme must be found, the least prepared in the European Union. And we can still avoid it if we concentrate on this one in this summer to find rules for attacking energy efficiency and attacking energy waste. And last but not least, I'm fed up to be in this industry blamed in a very generalized way. We are here for long term. We know that we are running an infrastructure for long term. I want to invest in this country, and when I'm investing, we do it for the next 40 years. And therefore, we are very aware that we have to deserve the trust in this. And therefore, let's work together for the rules how this can happen. And let's also make the rules in a way that imposters are not coming back to the market. We have seen in the last winter companies abandoning their customers. This must not be allowed to happen again if companies just are coming, speculating and running away as soon as a crisis comes. So I think this summer is decisive to create the rules for what happens in April next year. Let's discuss on it and let's find clarity already in this summer and not waiting until March next year. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mr. Volker. You touched 5 topics in few seconds in a very clear sentences and words. Thank you. Now the floor is for Mr. Eric Saab, which is summarizing all of these excellent interventions from ENGIE.
Excelențele voastre, domnilor.
Your Excellencies, Ministers, Chair Iancu, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to be part in this 9th edition of the FOREN. It is quite at the right time because many things have changed in our sector in the past 2 years. What hasn't changed, unfortunately, is that we still are not I'm still more comfortable speaking in English than in Ebinescu's language. Hopefully you don't mind if I switch on to Shakespeare's language.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will not mention the name of the company I'm running to keep myself shorter. But many things have changed pretty dramatically over the last few years. I will not come back to what's been said by Volker. I very much agree with the statements he made. But let's look back quickly at what has changed dramatically over the last year or so. Wholesale energy prices have skyrocketed to an unprecedented, I would even dare to say, unsustainable level, generating an energy price crisis. We do rediscover that with this dreadful war at our borders, well, energy security is no longer a given, is no longer granted. Everybody is talking about energy day in, day out. On every TV channel, in every newspaper, on every social network, in every family, people are trying to understand what's happening. And of course, European authorities and national governments felt obliged to intervene, and to be frank, the concept of free markets is, to say the least, put on hold. The war in Ukraine, the concerns about energy security and the energy price crisis did lead to an acceleration of the energy transition. There is much more focus than before, and there was already a lot of focus before on deploying renewable energy, on phasing out fossil fuels, on improving energy efficiency. And I also very much agree with what Volker said. We need to talk much more about energy efficiency, and also on ensuring much more solidarity across countries in Europe. This context is extremely challenging for energy companies who, for many of them, are feeling massively destabilized by what's going on. But they still have to invest huge amounts of money to make this energy transition happen. All this is why all stakeholders, governments, authorities, energy companies, consumers have to work together, hand in hand, to try to find the right solutions. There's a famous proverb from Senegal that says, one finger alone cannot grab a stone. You need at least 2, and 3, 4, or 5 is even much better. So I think there's a lot of food for thought for us in how we can better work together. So may the voice of the sea, Vox Maris, inspire and guide our discussions. Vă mulțumesc foarte mult!
Thank you very much. A very great Romanian speaker, Eric. We are now to two large producers that also close our session of the day, our opening ceremony. But because it's a lady and a gentleman, I would like to ask the gentleman to allow the lady to take the floor first, and I now give the floor to Argentina Tătaru from Romgas. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago, we were really going through the destiny and the happenings in a way that we haven't done before. Later on, when economies were fully reopened, the quick, swift increase of the prices taken us from aback. And recently, an additional fear or turmoil was generated by the conflict at the Romanian borders. All of these contexts have created in the energy sector a paradigm that make us try to identify all possible solutions to really use the potential, and as main argument for these intentions is the energy security of Romania and of the region itself. Why not? In this sense, FOREN gives again the opportunity to display and showcase arguments for many versions and scenarios that can be viable solutions. Romgas, in all this context, will be one of the main players in the energy sector, with strategic options to expand the portfolio of hydrocarbon resources and to produce sustainable energy. The main objectives regard to maximizing the factor to recover the hydrocarbon reserves in the concession perimeters, to increase the portfolio of resources by purchasing new perimeters, new areas, to produce electrical and thermal energy in cogeneration systems, including by using hydrogen when possible, and producing PV energy. We are convinced that the presence of the energy sector at national and regional level as a promoter of joint interests, of a dialogue, of transparency, of joint programs will undoubtedly set the foundation of scenarios that can be implemented in a broader framework of all technological, ecological and geopolitical trends. Thank you and good luck and all the best for them. And now Hydroelectrica, Mr. Bratu, looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Bună ziua.
Hello, Your Excellencies, Ministers, distinguished Chair and guests, audience. I'm a bit nervous. It's the first time to be here, public speaking role. I am honored, and we would like to thank the organizers for the event. I wanted to deliver a longer speech. Fortunately, we can shorten it because the context in which we carry out our activity is clear. The transition that we have to head towards is clear. We have to implement the energy policies of the ministry and of the Romanian state as per European directives, and to invest. Hydroelectrica, fortunately, has a favorable position on the market, has managed and is managing assets that has inherited and has to take care of them. The gentleman from Harvard said that the Romanian state has to invest. Yes, the Romanian state through its companies, and Hydroelectrica has a very ambitious development plan on several lines of development, because classic development lines on hydro already exist. We have very many green energy, PV, wind, onshore, offshore, and even pilot projects on hydrogen corroborated with PV. It's a very ambitious plan altogether. So that's why I believe that FOREN has a very important role, if you ask me. And given the dynamic with which we have to develop these projects, we have to develop partnerships. I've been in the Hydroelectrica board for 5 years, and we are starting on the Romanian society area no longer have partners for projects. So an event as FOREN to bring as many partners as possible in a formal context to discuss us as beneficiaries with the suppliers of technologies and solutions, with state institutions that harmonize the regulatory framework depending on the needs and obstacles are all essential. If we could maybe in the next period this formal framework to exist and organize yearly, to invite foreign companies and to develop Romanian capacities. That's it from me, and all the best to FOREN, Mr. Chair. Yes, this does happen yearly, given that in September, since last year, this event is only focusing on the energy sector issues in Romania. And every year, the World Energy Council, through the Romanian committee, brings the most important topics to be debated by experts, but also as solutions for decision makers and for the large number of consumers. We conclude today's session by giving the floor to Mr. Matthias Deg from Harvard, that was among the list of speakers. Some airplane issues happened, and nonetheless, he is with us.
That you do it a lot to be here, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here, and if you want to get heard here, I learned that you have to bring 5 points here and to be quite focused, and I try to be here. And you can be really proud of your energy system and what you have done in the last years, but I want to be critical on the one hand and a bit motivating, comparing a little bit what is developing in Europe, for example, where I flew in from Germany today to Romania today. First topic of my 5 is the renewables energy. I was so emotional 10 years ago. I saw the wind farms here when I drove here to the Black Sea, and I remember 10 years ago I worked for CES, and we had our operating model for Faschelak, and it was incredible. And I thought Romania will be the renewables country for the future, but not really a lot happened in the past. But it was clever from you to reduce the subsidies, because in Germany we paid about 300 billion euros between 2015 and today for the subsidies to bring renewables and increase renewables. Now is the time, because the renewables are really in an economical way, and you should now speed up the market and use the renewables, photovoltaic and wind, as they are needed. And for example, think about in Germany, the power purchase agreements. The market is empty. The industry is requesting the power purchase agreement. Direct contracts are really the topics which are in place, so keep this in mind. Second topic, hydrogen. So, okay, you are in a good position concerning the security of supply, concerning the gas, compared, for example, to Germany. But hydrogen business is an ecosystem business. That means public business, industry, and mobility has to work together. And you cannot enter the market only with one dimension. So work together and build up a national strategy. Speed up also for this topic because it takes time.
ultra rapidly.